appreciate traveling. We're gonna take some time out there from traveling to make sure that we get this for you all. Uh, welcome, welcome, welcome. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Hello, how you doing? Uh, Trying to see if we can get the podcast going. While we're doing this, we'll have the podcast on. Minister Kevin's supposed to give us a word a little later on. Let's see if we can get this podcast going while we're on, though. Let me see what's going on here. All right, hold on one second, you all. I'll be right back. Hold on one second. Don't go anywhere, okay? Gonna be right back. Trying to set up this Wi-Fi situation real quick. Hold up. Alrighty, I think we're good. Alright, I think we're good. Let's see. We can get the podcast up and going real quick. We're going to be on part 4, by the way, in our Sermon on the Mount series in this Shabbat. So feel free to turn there in your Bibles if you'd like to. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 5, starting at verse 21 on this rising. And we're going to talk about something very real and something that, kind of irked me when I found out how simple this thing that we're going to talk about is. It kind of messed with me a little bit, because I was like, man, I never really saw this. And yet it's kind of one of those things that, it's like you've read it all these times, you've seen it all these times, and you never once really comprehended. It was basically just saying this, right? It was like right in front of your face, and had you just really comprehended what it was saying, you would have been able to catch exactly what it was saying. But because you didn't have your culture right, and because you're getting deeper every day, and you're learning and you're growing every day, you happen to catch it this time through Ruach HaKodesh, who's been screaming it at you the whole time, but you never received it until you started, living a little different. So as we go into part 4 of the Sermon on the Mount, we're going to get ready for that. Thank you to everybody who's on. We appreciate you. Those who are going to be listening on the podcast later on, we appreciate you. Those who will be listening on YouTube, you won't see it on YouTube, but you'll be able to at least hear it on YouTube. You'll hear my car running a little bit if you're on YouTube because of the position of the device. Nevertheless, we will have it on all these platforms. We thank you. Thanks for being part of the community. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for anything that helps us with the algorithm to make sure that we are able to show people something through the kingdom perspective. Once again, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. And before we get started, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. And it's in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. Thank you once again for being with us. We appreciate you. And really, we are trying to appreciate you, trying to help you to grow in value through the lens of the kingdom. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. We give all honor once again to Yahweh, to Abba, Yashvai, Ruach HaKodesh. We give all honor to each and every one of you who are on with us. I give all honor, of course, even before that, to my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. And I'm thankful and grateful to the Most High for her being in my life and us being able to walk this path together. And thankful for what she does for the community. Check her out on TikTok, YouTube, and her website at Bloom and Flourish, by the way, not A-N-D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we respect everybody for being on. And once again, Shabbat Shalom simply means Shabbat is our 7th day of the week, and on that day of the week we wish you peace. On Shabbat we also are supposed to rest. So Shabbat Shalom, peace on the day that we should rest. I am black, I am Hebrew, I am an Israelite, yes. Whatever you preconceived notions with that, maybe just check and see what I have to say before we get in, before those preconceived notions may pop up, but yes, I am those things. That being said, we're going to talk specifically about Matthew chapter 5, and we're going to start at verse 21. And we've been going. This is our Sermon on the Mount series. We're redoing this. It serves two purposes. We're doing a review, and at the same time, we're not only just doing a review, but since the first YouTube channel was taken down because a lot of people didn't like what we were talking about, especially World Health Organization, and they told YouTube to get on us and to basically not allow us to put certain things out, we started a whole channel again. So this will be on there, etc. Right? I'm not Jewish by faith. I would be Avda or Hebrew or Yashvil, Israelite by faith, because a Jew didn't exist. Or at least the letter J specifically didn't exist at the time when the Bible was actually originally written. Thank you very much for that. Was it Jerome's? I don't know if I said that correctly. Jerome's. I appreciate that. So we're going to go to Matthew chapter 5, right? Acme, I don't do the things that you think I'm doing. Once again, if you'd like to listen to me long enough to be able to hear what I have to say, to feel free. If you already have preconceived notions, then deal with those preconceived notions in your own head. But you're welcome to stay. And if that's your way of saying hello, then hello, shalom, bless you, all that great stuff. I am not a Christian because the Bible existed before Christianity, so why would I take something that shifted or perverted away from the actual faith? Matthew chapter 5. We're going back to it today. And remember, just a quick review. So we actually started Matthew chapter 4, verse 23, because we believe in contextual facts here. So we believe in taking facts and context and putting them together, right? So context, facts, putting them together. A lot of people have context with no facts. A lot of people have facts with no context, right? So, since we're getting into contextual facts, that's what we're going to work on today. If you have questions that you actually want me to really get into or answer, we do have the question mark box on the bottom. And so you can ask those questions, and as time allows, and the hour or so that we have before we get off of here to get ready for the podcast, you can feel free to put those in that question mark box, and I'll get to them the best that I can. So that's how we'll deal with that. And if you'd like to listen long enough, you'll be able to catch some things that we're talking about. As far as the version of the Bible, just real quick before we get into the version of the Bible, is King James. I have a 1611 King James. I have Bibles that are older than that. And really, I believe you need to know culture even before you read whatever version of the Bible, because you can speak a lot about something and get the culture wrong, which means that you're getting everything else wrong, right? So, let's go to Matthew chapter 5, Sermon on the Mount. Remember, we started in Matthew 4:23. Matthew chapter 4, verse 23, it talks about, Matthew chapter 4, verse 23, it talks specifically about what was happening contextually. Here is Yeshua, who people call Christ or Jesus, and Yeshua HaMashiach is going around, and he's going to Galilee, he's going to synagogues, doing what specifically? He is specifically going to places where he's dealing with what? He's dealing with the kingdom of heaven. The thing he's trying to introduce to people is the kingdom of heaven. It says that the kingdom is what he preached. Once the kingdom was established, he was then able to heal sickness. Once sickness was being healed, it says then he could heal disease, and then he could start dealing with other issues. And people from all over Syria, all over Judea, all over Galilee, etc., etc. So all over the place, not just in a central location, not just with a couple hundred people, but people from all over the place were beginning to go and follow Yeshua HaMashiach, right? So we go from there to the Matthew chapter 5, and he recognizes that all these people are following, all these people who are disciples, all these people who are disciplined, right? Are trying to follow him. Well, Baba Kashev for this statement, I appreciate it, Daniel. And you're more than welcome to be on. Shabbat Shalom to you, if that's your way of saying hello. You can discredit me all you want in your mind. Ad hominem is something I love, because Yeshua taught me that when people like you come on and try to discredit us, all you do is just prove that we're doing the righteous thing, especially if you don't even know who I am. So much love to you and much respect to you for the disrespect, and thank you for the push and the drive. That being said, though, Matthew chapter 5 verses 3 through 12, he sees all these people following him, so he says he went to a high place and a high mountain, and he gave them the Beatitudes. And he first starts out by saying, people who are coming on today, where they say the kingdom doesn't belong to you, you're poor in spirit, you don't know what we know, you're not as good as we are, you're not this, you're not that. Wow, thank you for the airplane. I've never seen that one before. That's pretty. So he says all these different things that you're coming out and saying this and all these different things. He says what? He says that the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. You were taught the kingdom wasn't yours. He said, but I'm here to tell you and here to show you and here to introduce to you that while others are trying to discredit you, the kingdom belongs to you. He says, those of you who are meek and those of you who they say you're not this, you're not that, all this different stuff, he says, I'm here to tell you that you shall inherit the earth. He said, for those of you who are hungry and thirsting after righteousness, that literally is a term that means to be in right legal standing. He says, what? Those of you who are looking for right legal standing to live within, he says, you're about to get what you've been looking for, what you've been asking for, what you've been craving. Okay? He says, all these things that people are trying to get on us about, oh wow, I guess I didn't do a good job washing my face. But all these things that people are getting on us about, he says, these things belong to what? Belong to you. Right? He says, even when they speak all manner of evil against you for my name's sake. He says, even when you speak all manner of evil and they revile you and they rip you up and rip you to shreds, that's Matthew 5:10-12. He says, rejoice. That word rejoice means to jump over and over again and be what? Exceeding glad. Why? Because they did the same thing to the prophets that came before you. And so if they were willing to speak bad about Moses, if they were willing to speak bad about Enoch, if they were willing to speak, right, some people still speak bad about Enoch, if they were willing to speak bad about people like David, if they were willing to speak bad about people such as Solomon, if they were willing to speak bad such as people about Esaias and all these other people, he said, why are you thinking that you're not in great company? Right? To be in right legal standing literally means to be in right legal standing. To legally, lawfully be in standing that would be considered to be right or powerful. That's what righteous means. Right? So this is what we're dealing with, right? So here he says, okay, that's done. Then part 2, we went over Matthew chapter 5, verse 13-16. Look, you are the light of the world. You're the salt of the earth. But if you lose your savor, right, if you don't do things consistently within the time frame that you're given and make sure that you're on track, he says what? Thank you, Ann. He says what? He says, then you are dealing with some stuff to where you're not going to reach potential and people are looking for you. You're the light. You're a city set on the hill. You can't be hid. So don't be in this position where all of a sudden you get to something and now you want to be hid from everybody. I want to do the will of Yah, but I don't want anybody to see me. I want to come on live, but I don't want anybody to say anything bad about me. At the end of the day, like, be who you are. You're the light, right? The kingdom belongs to you, so let your light shine before men, right? That's Matthew 5:16. Then we went to Matthew 5:17-20 yesterday in part 3 of this series, in which we discussed law, where in verse 17 he says, look, I didn't come to destroy the law, but I came that it might be fulfilled. Verse 18, he says we shouldn't change the most minuscule measurements of it, nor the way it's even written. Verse 19, he then comes behind that and makes it a point to say that when it comes to the law, that anybody who says that you shouldn't live by the law and teaches such, you are the least in the kingdom. But if you're somebody who lives by that law and teaches it and teaches it even by your actions, you are considered to be the greatest, right? And then he says after that in verse 20, you should know the law, the righteousness, the thing that legally puts you in right standing and legally protects you. Remember, law doesn't give rights, but law does what? Law protects rights. So he says if you're within the law, he says then you should understand it, that you need to understand it greater than the Pharisees and the scribes. The ones who write law are actually people who pervert the law. Therefore, you better know original law better than they do, or else you're going to get messed up. Right, now we come to today. Right, Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. This is part 4. And we got about 42 minutes or so left. So we're going to try and make sure that we get all these 3 things in. Right? And so this is what I want you to comprehend now about law. This is what Yahshua speaks. Yahshua is speaking all this stuff. This is him speaking. I didn't make this up. I didn't write it. This is who people call Jesus. This is what he spoke. So if you believe that that's what he spoke, then you should make sure that you comprehend and live by what he spoke, right? Okay, so here we go. Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. This is what he says. He says, ye have heard it said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if you bring thy gift to the altar, in their remembrance that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and give and offer thy gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. All right, so check this out. Let me go back to Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. Matthew 5:21, it says this. It's talking about, and I want you to get this. I want you to comprehend everything we're going to talk about, right? I want you to understand that everything that we're talking about, LGBTQIA, PB+, and all that stuff, look, that's just because I might not like an action that somebody gives doesn't mean that we don't show them love. If I believe in loving my enemy, then I can't say that somebody who believes in something else as far as sex or sexual orientation or gender or whatever is somebody that would hate. So that's something that we're not bringing on here. If you have those preconceived notions, once again, I think you need to check yourself. All right, but we love and pray for everyone. We honor everyone. We treat everyone with respect, and we don't defend ourselves as far as even physical defense against anyone unless they try to do something to us or our family, right? So if that's your preconceived notion, you've got to deal with that within yourself. I think that's something that you got to deal with within self, because a lot of people aren't here speaking that. There might be some, but I don't represent them. So this is a different kind of environment, different kind of culture, and I would just advise it's probably easiest for you to stay within that culture. Okay, you ready? Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. It says, ye have heard it was said of the old time, which is the law, basically. You heard it from your people, from your ancestors, from your grandmama and them, right? That you should what? You shall not kill. Now, I want you to get, going back to what I was trying to get to though, Shabbat Shalom to everybody, right? I want you to grasp what this whole thing that we're going to talk about today. There's really only two things that we're dealing with. They're very strong things, but there's really only two things we're dealing with in this part. Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 all the way through 26. All we're really dealing with is two major things. We're dealing with debt, and we're dealing with anger. Debt and anger. We're dealing with what? Debt and anger. That's pretty much it. Everything that we're going to talk about, forgiveness, all this other stuff, is really dealing with two things: debt and anger, right? And if I can keep you in debt, I can keep you angry. If I can keep you angry, I can keep you in debt. Remember I told you, those of you who've been on since the beginning, when I was studying this, even this rising, I kind of got really frustrated because I was like, I've seen these verses, we've gone over this before, and I never once really saw this, but Ruach HaKodesh is like she was screaming at me, like, I've been trying to tell you this the whole time. There's debt and there's anger. There's anger and there's debt. And we talk a lot about debt because we talk a lot about being sovereign, and to be sovereign, you need to be financially stable, right? And to be lawful, you need to make sure you're the lender and not the borrower, right? And yet, debt and anger. If I can keep you angry, I can keep you in debt. If I can keep you in debt, I can keep you angry. Matter of fact, a lot of people who come on here, and you've even seen it so far in the comments if you've been keeping up, so do you like LGBTQ+? It's a place of something that makes them angry, and therefore they're in debt to that anger. They're not even able to hear what I'm saying first until I have to first say, oh no, it's okay, I agree with you, blah, blah, this and that. Not even comprehending who I am, trying to understand who I am. Or somebody else comes on, you better make sure that you get into the Quran because of this and that. First of all, if you know who I am, you know that Ishmael is my brother. So even if I'm of Isaac and you're of Ishmael, we should be brothers, right? But at the end of the day, guess what? Even if we're not, even if you don't consider yourself to be my brother, I'm still going to love you. Right? If you come on here and your whole goal is to just discredit everything that I say, guess what? I love my enemies. Right? I'm not going to go into debt, but these people can't get past anger. They're indebted to anger so much that they can't even hear what somebody has to say. Right? I'm sorry, Manon. I didn't see your question. What is your question? How am I not a Christian? I don't know. I've got there's hundreds of people on, and we've got stuff we're supposed to talk about. So once again, I'm not a Christian because it's just like the NBA. Let me just say this to people: did the NBA exist before basketball, or did basketball exist before the NBA? We know the NBA exists after basketball was created, right? People played professional basketball and still play professional basketball even if there's no NBA. Okay, so just because you might watch the NBA or might give more credence to the NBA doesn't mean that basketball isn't what the NBA is using to make money. All right, the same thing with the Bible. All right. The Bible existed before Christianity. Therefore, I don't have to be Christian to be able to be into the Bible, right? And if I want to actually get into the Bible and the rules of the Bible and utilize it, then I probably should know what the Bible said before Christianity came. That's pretty simple, right? We've used that analogy before. Hopefully that blesses you and helps you to be able to catch it. But then we want to talk about debt and anger. Okay? That's what we're on right now. Debt and anger. All right? Once again, we're talking about what? Debt and anger. Okay? Well, you can take whatever I said and try to make it about whatever you want it to be, but I'm going to use what I said. Okay? So I'm going to debt and anger. We have a certain amount of time. If you'd like to be able to contact us, we'll put up our contact information at the end. Feel free to contact me. Feel free to hit me up in the DMs. Right? And we can talk about this stuff, direct message. You can text me from there. We can call on the phone as time allows me to. I'm pretty busy, but as time allows, we can do all that stuff. But right now we're talking about debt and anger. Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 through 26. Okay? So here we go. Matthew chapter 5, verse 21, it says, Ye have heard it said of them of old time, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment, which is a true saying, right? That's a law, right? One of the 10 commandments. However, he says here, he says, But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother, and watch this, especially, here's the bad part, angry with his brother without a cause, shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. So, Yeshua says here, check this out. Yeshua says here that when it comes to the 10 commandments and all these commandments that we follow, and look, we just talked about yesterday evening, that, you know, we literally talked about what? We talked about if you love me, you will keep my commandments. The commandments are vital. Yeshua says here, though, I want you to comprehend that the anger is more dangerous than the killing. Somebody's missed that. Now, somebody would say, what? Me being angry is worse than me? No, because the anger is what leads to the killing. You being angry is what causes you to kill. So he says you've been focused on the killing, right? The killing people with your tongue, you know, the killing coming on and saying because you're black and Hebrew and Israelite, therefore you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you talking about your wife poorly, you talking about your husband poorly, you talking behind your friend's back, you saying one thing in front of your boss and saying the things behind your boss's back, you saying one thing about, you know, shaking your commander's hand, and then as soon as the commander goes to another command and another commander comes in, all of a sudden now I never really liked them and blah blah this and that, all these different things that people do, right? He says that it's the anger that causes the killing. It could be due to fear, okay? What I'm saying, though, is that in this context, and what Yeshua is speaking, in this context of the Sermon on the Mount, he says that you've heard it said about killing. I'm here to tell you that anger is worse than killing, in the sense that it will lead you to do some wild things. And anger, from what he's saying, leads it to where you can even experience hellfire. Right? So he says it's the anger that is the issue. It's the anger that you should be looking at. It's the anger that frustrates people, right? And see, here comes somebody once again. Like you saw that. So somebody, Phil or whatever his name is, makes it a point. Sees me black, sees me Hebrew, sees me Israelite, sees me speaking about the Bible, and immediately puts up laughing thing, right? Ad hominem, to make fun of somebody. There's an anger issue there that now allows him to try and assassinate somebody's character without even knowing who that person is. You see what I'm saying? You got to be in a position to understand, and it helps you to be more empathetic, that if I understand that I'm dealing with a lot of anger, then of course somebody would try to assassinate me or assassinate my character, assassinate what my people go through. Now, that's a great question. I saw that one briefly, right? And I'm sorry I can't catch all the stuff that's going on at the same time. I'm only human, right? But here, that's a great question. How do you avoid being angry? It's not even the avoidance of being angry. It is how do you deal with the anger? Right? How do you deal with the anger? Because anger is not even a bad thing. It says be angry, but here's the key. The Bible says be angry, but do what? And sin not. if you're angry and using your anger now because you don't know how to channel it or utilize it or do whatever, now it's not going to be righteous indignation or righteous anger or anger that's in right legal standing, right? But it's going to be something that you're going to use to hurt somebody else. You said something bad about me, I'm going to say something bad about you. How many people on here are saying terrible things about me right now? And do I say, okay, and will I be, I'll be honest with you, somewhere inside, it's hurtful, frustrating, makes me a little angry, makes me like even just angry as far as something as simple as, if you don't know me, why wouldn't you even just get a chance to know me and then start saying stuff about me, right? But I don't sin, I don't come against them, I don't come right back against them. And it shows the maturity level, because somebody who's on here trying to say something about me and has no clue about who I am, it shows how immature they are, and it shows that it's not really worthy of my time and our time to really like focus in on those people, because obviously they're stuck in an angry place, and we're trying to grow past that anger, right? So all we have to do is utilize. Thank you, Patrick, I appreciate the love. So all we have to do is grow past that, and it actually shows them a lot of times, if they're the human beings that they claim to be, a lot of times it shows them, okay, maybe I need to come out of my anger real quick. I need to come out of the way I'm treating this person and let me treat them as a human being. Well, I don't worship God, first of all. I worship Elohim, Jacob Ortiz. Secondly, if God talks to you, right, the Bible says this. How can you say that you love God, who you call God? How can you say that you love God, but you hate your brother, or you hate the person that you see, but you say that you love God and you've never seen him before? If you can't show love to me, and you use God as a crutch to be able to treat somebody else with disrespect, then your God, well, maybe, I don't know, you worship God. God is different than Elohim, and people usually use God to be able to do whatever they want. So maybe your God allows you to do that. But since it's very obvious on this platform that you're trying to make sure that you're going to be disrespectful to others, we don't want that on here. So thank you very much, and we're praying for you, and maybe you can pray to your God and see if he'll help you to deal with that. Have a great day. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. So you have to understand that and recognize that about people, that there are a lot of people that are going to be in a position, or going to try to live in positions in which they're just doing these things to you, right? And you have to be secure in who you are. And when you're secure with who you are, that actually helps you to deal with the anger. It doesn't say that the anger is the issue, but it says here, let's read it again, Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother, and watch this, here's the key. This is what Jacob Ortiz was just doing. Angry with his brother, if he considers me that or not, whatever. But it says what? Angry with his brother without a cause. Angry with his brother without a cause. Could it be, that's the one thing that's so damaging. So many people get angry and frustrated, and you say, man, why are you guys so upset? Why you guys been arguing for so long? What was you and your husband, y'all been at it for about a couple of weeks. What's the problem? I do a lot of life coaching, marital coaching. They'll be like, what's the problem? What's going on? And they can't tell me what actually started it. And we start laughing because we realize how bad it is. But really, it's not a laughing matter. It's pretty bad that you would be in these arguments and things and wouldn't even know the cause, which means that it was never worth arguing in the first place. I'm going to leave that statement alone. I know what you mean. We are all people, yes. But different people have different colors. And it's okay to acknowledge those colors and love each other. You can be my melanated brother, or my less melanated brother, or my brown brother, or my pink brother, or my whatever brother. Like, if you want to call yourself white, you can be my white brother. It doesn't matter, right? There are many different types of flowers. We're all, right? You can be a red flower, you can be a yellow flower, you can be a purple flower. I like them all the same, and I'll put them in a bouquet and give them to my wife all the same, right? So let's not ignore what makes us who we are, right? Anyways, let's get back to, we're getting to all these other places. Let's be obedient. Let's get back to debt and anger and debt. All right? Let's get back to debt and anger. Okay? Here we go. There's only one true God. If you're not worshiping God, Jesus Christ, Father, you're worshiping an idol. Well, the problem is that God is an idol, because God is a Germanic deity. Elohim is who you should be worshiping. So that in and of itself messes things up, right? And Yeshua HaMashiach is his name. Yesus, which you now use to say Jesus or Jesus, is something that was given to him by Pontius Pilate. That's why we have no culture. But we're in debt to other cultures. And we have anger that pops up because somebody would dare question our debt to other cultures. Right? So here we are, dealing with what? Dealing with debt and anger. Okay, no white, no black. We're just all different shades of brown. Okay, so that means we're all different colors, and we should still love each other as brothers and sisters. Anyways, let me get back to it, because people, you see what I'm saying? People get so angry, they're in debt to these things that they know, supposedly, and somebody gives them a new picture, and all of a sudden it's like, I gotta stay in debt. I gotta stay in debt. I gotta stay in debt to this idea. I gotta stay in debt to this idea. You see it coming out? I've gotta stay in debt. He mentioned Yahshua HaMashiach. Oh, I gotta say Jesus because I'm in debt to that idea. Nobody can question that, even though the Bible says try every spirit by the Spirit. I can't question that. God is a Germanic deity. That's what God comes from. That's exactly what I mean. Elohim is not God. You gotta understand, every culture has different things that they're worshiping. Like when you try to say Kemetic gods, Kemetic people didn't have gods. They had netchers. Netchers and gods are not the same. Right? Germanic people had gods, or people who spoke Germanic languages, they had gods. God and Elohim are not interchangeable. I know that's what you've been taught, but that's not the truth. God and these deities, they're not interchangeable. They're different. Right? Elohim is different. Even Baal actually used to be a closer translation to Elohim, but they perverted that so much that now you should not ever dare say Baal and Elohim in the same sentence. But if you know how things go in different cultures, you would know what I'm saying. So see what I'm saying? Like, we're in debt to so much stuff that we don't even know how to get out of debt. We're arguing out of anger, right? Debt to different things that have nothing to do with our culture. You see what I'm saying? So, like, even when people say, SATA with that other letter at the end to describe the devil, we don't say that. We say At Satan or the Satan, because we know that he doesn't have a name. The second you give him a name, he has authority, right? But some people are so in debt to having to say that they'll keep saying that, putting themselves further in debt, giving that person that they're really deifying, they're giving him authority, not even knowing it, right? Debt and anger. People are arguing out of debt. Now watch this. Let's go into this even deeper now that we put that together, right? It says, it uses this term, if you say to your brother, haraka. Now a lot of people don't know what this word means, but haraka is actually a word that's literally saying that you are somebody I'm dismissing. You'll never get it. Going back to the Beatitudes, the poor in spirit, haraka. But he says the poor in spirit, the kingdom of heaven belongs to them, Matthew chapter 5, verse 3, right? So he says, there are some of you who are saying, haraka, man, whatever, man, I dismiss this person, dismissive of him. Won't give him any chance. Won't listen to them. Won't even just take and digest what they're saying and say, do I want to receive this and eat this ever again, or is this something that I need to get rid of out of my body and never utilize again, right? So a lot of us are very dismissive towards our brothers. He says this is a very dangerous attitude to have, where you're angry and you're dismissive and you're calling them a fool. He said that's when you start putting yourself into debt to some things that could lead you to hell. Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. Right? Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. But thank you for telling me these are false teachings. I'm just showing you what's in your Bible. Read your Bible, it'll bless you. Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 and 22 is what we've read so far. So if I'm saying anything that is not in line with the Bible, tell me what I'm saying that's not in line with what Yahshua HaMashiach himself said, or what you might call Jesus Christ. See, you're so coming from such an angry place, you don't understand you're in debt to a thinking that's not biblical. Hey, Shalom, Chef, how you doing? Right? You're coming from a place that's not even biblical. We're giving you word. We're giving you the truth. We're standing on that truth. And we're not going to stop standing on that truth just because somebody's so angry that they're going to keep arguing what they're in debt to. Watch this. Matthew chapter 5:23. Therefore, so because of what we said, if you bring thy gift to the altar, right? If you bring your gift to the altar, and there remembrance that thy brother has aught against thee, verse 24 says, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. So if you're so frustrated with somebody like me who you might have never even met, or somebody that you know, but you're so quick to talk about how you use your gifts. I use my gift of pastoring. I give my gift of leadership. I give my gift of music. I use my gift of tongues. I use my gift of interpretations, and all these different gifts that you love to talk about. However, you're so full of anger that you're in debt to something else. What he's saying here is very clear. If you understand equity, Proverbs chapter 1 verse 3 says that we need to understand equity and how this stuff works in the kingdom. In the kingdom, you're dealing with somebody who owns all the cattle of 1,000 hills. He's talking about wealth a lot. He's talking about finances a lot. He's talking about the equity that's within you. And he's saying that you're missing a lot of this stuff, that you're missing the talents, that you're missing being able to hold on to things, that you're not as valuable as you should be, that you're not going through a salvaging process that will get you into salvation. He says you're missing it because a lot of us are stuck in a position to where we're still holding on to things. We're so angry that we're in debt. Now, think about this, what's going on. I'm bringing a gift, or I'm bringing an offering before the Most High. I'm getting ready to give it to the Most High. I'm getting ready to have it put on the altar. Here I am with the gift. And what Yahshua HaMashiach himself is saying is, before I give the offering, I need to think to myself, is there anybody that I have beef with? Right? Is there anybody that I'm frustrated with? Oh, you know what, me and so-and-so, we're angry with each other still. I need to not even go any further. He didn't even say take the offering or the gift or whatever it is with me. He said it's of no value wherever you take it. Leave it there and go and find whoever it is that you got a beef with and get that straight first. Once that's straight, now come back to where you left the gift. Where did you leave the gift? You left it at the altar. Now, you didn't put it on the altar. You left it at the altar. And a lot of people like to leave stuff at the altar, but they don't do what? Find the person. So they say, I'm just going to pray about this person. I'm just going to pray everything's okay. I'm going to just leave it here. No. Pray. Leave it there. Right? Find out if you got beef. You know you got beef with this person. Leave it at the altar. But you can't put it on the altar. Why? Because it's not something that can be accepted. Now think about what we're talking about. Debt. Right? Hear what I'm talking about. Debt and anger. Why is it that anger and debt go together? Why is it that anger is going to cause you to be in debt? Right? We got to catch this. You got to catch this revelation. Right? You got to catch this revelation. Right? Well, if they won't talk to you, that's different, right? But it's about what you're doing on your own, right? What you're doing on your part. If they won't listen to you, they won't hear, fine. You did what you were supposed to do. If they don't receive it, that's up to them, right? But he's talking about you're in debt. Why do anger and debt go together? Because I can't give something to the Most High and say, I'm giving this to you so that we can enter into a contract. That's what the offering is. We're entering into a contract. So I'm giving you the offering so that we can enter into a contract. You're wiping me clean of some things and allowing me to be in a legal position to be able to be before you. That's what the sacrifice is doing. The offering, even the gift that's being given, is doing. But he won't accept the gift because he says as long as you're angry with somebody else, you're still in debt to them. You check that out, right? As long as you're angry with somebody else, you're still in debt to them. That person owns you. You don't think so? Why is it that when you go to sleep, you're still thinking about that person? Why is it if somebody brings up their name, you can't even function well? Why is it that all I've got to do to make sure that some of you guys start flipping out, all I've got to do is say, Trump said, and you lose your mind. All I got to say is, Biden said, and you will lose your mind. Right? That's all I have to do. I don't even have to work that hard. All I got, Trump did the other day. Oh my God, I can't stand Trump. Well, he owns you. Anger, debt. All I got to do is say, Biden said, oh my gosh, I can't. He owns you. Anger, debt. Never even met you, owns you. Right? All I got to do is say, well, Elon Musk said this. Oh, I can't stand Elon Musk. Yay, everything about Elon Musk. And then you just start going online and looking up all the stuff on Elon Musk and start looking on YouTube for 4 or 5 hours. They own you. Anger, debt. He says, I can't, the Most High says, and this is Yahshua Mashiach speaking, he says, the Most High cannot accept what you're trying to give to them until you get out of debt with somebody else. Find whoever that person is that is ruling your life by having you think about them so much. Find them and make sure that you get rid of that debt so that now you can be out of debt with them and come into contract with the Most High that causes you to have freedom. That debt is causing you to not be free. Get rid of that debt so you can come and now give your gift before the Most High. And a lot of you are trying to just force gifts on the Most High. I'm going to sing a praise to the Most High. And we'll tell you in the midst of singing, in the midst of praise and worship, We'll be there in front of everybody with the little microphone talking about, yeah, I want to tell you that so-and-so did this to me, and so-and-so did this to me, and so-and-so did to me. But you know what? The Lord said it's not so. And I'm here to tell you, but in all that stuff, did you forgive him? Because if you didn't forgive him, then the Lord didn't say nothing to you, according to this word. Because if you have an ought with your brother, then he says that you can't bring your gift. What you doing up there singing? Pastor, sit her down, sit him down. Make sure that they understand they ain't supposed to be up there until they get that ought right, until they're debt free. We don't do debt in the kingdom. If they're in debt, then they're not kingdom. You see what I'm saying? But you'll have people speaking on that and singing on that, and you'll be lifting your hands up. You better be careful. See, well, we don't know the culture of these things. We don't understand kingdom. You're all over the place. And people are leading us with this stuff and teaching you and writing books about it. And we're buying this stuff up, not realizing that, hey, yo, look, there's a difference between saying I'm not going to let anybody hold me down and me be in a position to where I say, like, well, if somebody just don't like me or whatever, then so be it. Well, is there could part of the equation of them not liking you be that you did something deserving of not being liked? And even if you didn't do it, could it be possible that something that you did in their love language made them feel like it was? Therefore, you got to make sure that you get into debt. Get out of debt. And if you don't believe it to that point, let's go a little further. All right? So it says after that in verse 25, it says, leave the altar quickly, go find the brother and do this. Verse 25 and verse 26 speak for themselves as far as debt. You ready? Verse 25, Matthew chapter 5, verse 25 says, agree with thine adversary quickly. Right? Now, a lot of people are going to confuse what adversary means, but stick with me long enough and you're going to figure out what this is saying. Right? So, agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary, who's the adversary? Who do we like to call the adversary? We like to call the adversary Satan, right? But a lot of people are in debt to Satan. They're in debt to him because they're following his system, following his word, and some of them won't even forgive him. That's a wild place to be, by the way. I know that's something that sounds really, really weird, but aren't you supposed to forgive everybody? We're going to leave that there. That's going to mess with somebody. I don't have enough time to go through that. But can you forgive? I didn't say that means that you let them do whatever they want, but to forgive them and not be caught up with them, to be in debt to them. All right, check this out. Agree with thine adversary, what? Quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, excuse me, lest anytime the adversary deliver, wow, excuse me, I need some water. I'm sorry. Lest at any time, the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verse 26 says, verily I say unto you, truly I say unto you, thou shalt in no means come out thence. You will never come out of prison. You'll never come out of being locked down until what? You have paid the uttermost farthing. In other words, till every last penny is paid of your debt, you're going to be in prison. And you better come out of prison with the adversary. The adversary. Now, the adversary here literally means the debt collector. The one that you went into the contract with to cause the debt. When you decided to do the things that you did that caused the debt. When you did the things that missed the mark. The word sin just means to miss the mark. You got caught up in it. Guess what? Now you got to pay off the debt. The debt is yours. I'm sorry. Right? That's why we have to get out of debt. It's here is one of your greatest functioning passages when it comes to discharging debt. You have the ability to discharge it. Stop worrying about paying it off, right? It says that you better discharge it now. You better, by the authority that you have, discharge the debt before you get in a place to where you're going to have to pay it off. And if you got to pay it off, you're going to have to stay locked up until you pay off every penny. Right? And it says that anytime you enter into a contract with somebody and you are the borrower, right, then you are in service to the lender. That's what it says, right? A lot of people like to say, was it Proverbs 22 verse 5, train up a child in the way they should go. So when they get old, they will not depart from it, right? But then verse 6 right behind it says that what? That you need to make sure you train them up correctly. Why do you train up your children correctly? Because the borrower will always be in servitude to the lender. Therefore, make sure that you teach them about equity so they won't ever be in servitude to the lender. They need to become the lender so that they won't be the servants. Right? That's what it's talking about. And so it's saying here he's using the very thing we've been talking about as far as our sovereignty, as far as our culture, as far as owning land, as far as making sure that you have great financial freedom, as far as all these different things. We're in Matthew chapter 5. We're doing the Sermon on the Mount series right now. We've just finished verses 25 and 26. We just read today. We focus on verses 21 through 26. Right? So you got to comprehend that he's telling you, you are in debt. Right? If you are in debt, you are a slave. That's why people try to bring up slavery in the Bible. We didn't have the word slave. We had the words indentured. Basically, we didn't even use these terms, but specifically, but we basically, it's closer to the term indentured servitude. Indentured servitude means that if somebody signs a contract with somebody else, that person you sign a contract with, they take on your debts. So you work for them because they're taking on your debt, and that person's supposed to take care of your house. They're supposed to take care of your children. They're supposed to take care of you. They're supposed to teach you about debt. They're supposed to teach you about business. They're supposed to allow you to do things within their family. If you go into debt with me as somebody from this culture, I'm supposed to make sure that if we go into contract, I got to take care of you. Even to the point that on the day of Jubilee, right, that I have to actually release you from all debts. Right? So even if we have a 5-year contract, if 3 years in it's the year of Jubilee, then I got to release you and honor the Most High and say everybody gets a free start and allow you to be in freedom. But along the way, I still was teaching you everything that was necessary. You hear what I'm saying? Right? Like, this is a different context. But a lot of people are used to the contracts that you're into now and don't understand that you're a 13th Amendment and 14th Amendment citizen, which means that you are a slave to this. That's why you pay taxes, because you are in debt. And because you won't discharge the debt, all of a sudden here comes the IRS, because you don't know that you should just discharge the debt. You should just get rid of it. You should just say, hey, I'm going to you. Here's the ought that we have. We have this payment. We got an ought that's between us. I'm going to go ahead and square it up so that now I can go ahead and everything that I can use my gifts and give my gifts properly to whatever the Most High says I give it to. Nope, because you haven't done that. You got to pay tax here. You got to make sure you do this. You don't know how to discharge debt. He's saying discharge the debt, because if the IRS comes looking for you and you don't know how to discharge a debt and you're still a United States citizen instead of citizen of the United States of America, what's going to happen to you? You're going to be in a position where they can show up and they're going to say, give us what we want. And if you don't give it to us, he said, they will lock you up. And once you're locked up, he said, I promise you, once they lock you up, you will not get out until you pay off every single penny. That's the concept. That's the mindset. I don't have time to talk about discharging debt. That's why we teach the class, and some of the stuff I can't teach on YouTube or TikTok, because to be honest, that's how they've kicked us off of platforms before. I've had to start multiple platforms on multiple channels on multiple platforms over and over again, because some of this stuff they don't want you to know. That's why we teach stuff on Zoom and different things like that. If you want more information, get in contact with us. I'm gonna put the stuff up above my head pretty soon before we get ready to check out of here, right? And I can continue my travel and stuff, and we can get ready for the podcast and stuff. By the way, if you want to join us for the podcast and you want to join us live for the podcast, but it'll be at 9:15 a.m. Eastern in New York time, so within 20-25 minutes or so. And you have to have the Podbean app, Podbean, to join us live. So if you want to join us on the podcast soon, that'll be coming up very shortly. But you got to be in a position. Thank you for the love, Mr. Tracy. Mr. Tracy B, hopefully everything's going well with you and your family and your situation. Still praying for you as you go through this new process in life. But you got to comprehend these things, right? And thank you everybody for the love. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for all that stuff that helps us with the algorithm. We really appreciate you all. I mean, you gotta be ready for this stuff, right? You said, what kind of debt am I talking about? Do you pay taxes? If you pay taxes, you're in debt. What kind of debt am I talking about? Are you making sure that when you get a credit card, when you spend money on your credit card, do you spend money on the credit card that you can immediately pay back? Because if you aren't spending money on your credit card, you can immediately pay back. If you got maxed out credit cards, anything like that, you're in debt. Do you own your house? Do you have a mortgage? If you have a mortgage, you're in debt. Do you own the bill? Do you have the bundle of rights? I was about to say the Bill of Rights, huh? Do you have the bundle of rights for your house? Do you own from the sky to under the ground? If you don't own the bundle of rights, you're still in debt. There are places to where they have old stuff. Usually it's just in Maryland, places like that, but they got old school rules on the books that come from, Europe still. Morgan and stuff come from Europe and stuff, but like stuff like ground rent. If you're still paying ground rent to somebody, Some of you don't even know that. And we praise the Most High you don't, because it's one of the most wicked things ever done. But if you do, you're still in debt. Those are just facts. Facts upon facts upon facts. So, but prayerfully, you guys got something out of this on this rising. We appreciate the king and queen in each and every one of you. Even if you're not living inside the kingdom of queendom yet, we appreciate the potential king and queen in each and every one of you.